Hello, internet. I'm bored and I'm gonna clean my bookshelf because I have nothing best to do. Also, look at this gorgeous lighting. I look so nice. I fixed my audio setup so I'm not gonna be as loud or as quiet as I was in the last video. I'm gonna hold it in my hand so it was too far away. Okay, we're gonna clean. Oh god. Okay, I'm gonna put my mic down. Once again, I have not dressed up because I won't. Um, just the sheer amount of oil in my hair. Jesus. Okay. First things first is this one, which is my uh not classics, but like my non-fiction slash plays slash poetry cubby. If I can move the camera without just destroying everything, there it is. I'm gonna take all the books out and just talk about them while also cleaning. So let's do that. Yay! Yay! Okay, here we go. So now I'm gonna start stacking books again. First, in my bookshelf, I've got this. Look at how pretty this is. It's the collected works of Khalil Gibran. When I bought this to. Oh, wait 1 second. Can you see it? Come on, sun, do your magic. No, you can't see it. It's shiny, basically. So gorgeous. He has like. This is all of his work. So, The Prophet, which is like relatively much more famous, and then you have other stuff as well. One of my favorite poets. I think everyone should read him. We're gonna put him in there. Oh, there's gonna be so much noise. Yay! Second Time as a Mother, Ocean Vuong. Classic poetry. I mean, classic in like the new contemporary classic poetry. To every single person who is Asian and has some parental issues. I have a lot of Ocean Vuongs, actually. A lot of it. Oh, there it goes. Did I mute myself? I think I muted myself. Fuck! I love how I'm swearing in the mic and I can see my audio level spike. That's great. Okay. Can you hear me? Alright. This is the most chaotic thing ever. I'm so sorry. Next up. Hello, Miss Oliver. I recently finished reading this, which is a story which will be the same for a lot of books. Of like, why are they in your bookshelf and you haven't read them? Listen, I don't have to explain myself to you. But this is great. A lot of her poetry has to do with nature and stuff like that. But I think towards the end, I got sort of bored of like the same nature themes and stuff like that. But she has a lot of really, really exceptional poetry, very simple poetry, very lyrical, quiet poetry, stuff like that. It's really, really good. People should. This is like I think her best collection, but it's still the selected poems. It's not like all of her poems. Still, rapid fire. Okay. Now we're gonna do Rainer Marie Rilke's Letters to a Young Poet. Do I remember reading this? I think so, but I don't remember it right now, so I can't give an opinion on it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in there, not knowing fully how to react. Complete Poems of Emily Dickinson. I don't think I've read this fully either. I think I have to, but from what I read, it made me very emotional. Her poetry is very, very unique in the sense that when I think of poetry from her time, I think of her poetry. She's a very distinct poetry, and I think I have one of her poems on my wall. If only I could remember what it was. I think it's like because I could not stop for death. I think that's what it's called. I'll check. No, I won't. Okay. I think now we're mostly done with poetries. It is time for the plays. You know what I should do? I should not fucking get up every time and place a book and just talk about the books I want and then go put them. I'm so dumb. Okay. Macbeth. Basically the play that got me into English honors. this is my Shakespeare play, at least my Shakespeare tragedy. I have a my Shakespeare comedy as well, but this is the tragedy. You can see by how fucking broken and begging to die this copy is. I have like so many notes because I used this in high school when we had to do a Macbeth play, even if it was an abridged play, and by which they mean they cut out so much dialogue because nobody wants to apparently hear. And then we had this again for the first semester, and so I already had a copy. The art is fine, I guess. I'm not gonna complain too much about it. Oh, Joan Didion. Whenever I think of Joan Didion, I only think of lithub because I'm subscribed to them. Their like membership thing is, I think, a Joan Didion. I'm not sure if I pronounce her name like that. Forgive me, but it's like a Joan Didion tote bag, and I'm like, out of everything, a tote bag? You want us to have a tote bag? Okay, all right, okay, I guess. Weirdo. Oh, Sappho. I love. You can see like this was briefly a period in my life where I was like, I'm gonna put bookmarks on stuff, so everyone knows how smart I am. Girl, no, you're not a tab girly. I am a underline girly, gender neutral. But yeah, I really like the cover of this. I do not know if this is a painting. Oh, it's written on the back. Gentian with Bees by Edith Handler. Private collection. Yeah, of course, some rich person has this. God forbid the museums actually have like artworks of painters and stuff, and not like stolen artifacts from other regions. Looking at you, British Museum. Give us back our fucking Kohinoor. Sorry, I'm gonna go on a whole rant again. Okay, more Ocean Myung. Night Sky with Exit Wounds. Winner of the T.S. Eliot Prize 2017. I do not remember whether I liked this better or whether I liked Time is a Mother better, but I think I like his novel best out of all of them. So, what now? It really makes me laugh, and I say that all the time whenever something happens, and I'm like, so, what now? It's a really, really great thing to like absorb onto life. I don't know what else Azealia Banks does, so I don't know what controversy she's got into, but that line of hers is like edged in my brain. Anyways, Richard Silken, crush. For the longest time, I thought his last name was Silken, and I think a lot of people think that because of some mass, whatever that effect is called. Mandela effect? Is it the Mandela effect? The Stanley Parable effect. I'm joking. But this is great. I think he's one of my, again, a really good contemporary poet as well. Next, Hamlet, Shakespeare. Yay! Have I read this? No. I've had this for like, I think almost a year, 2 years, but I still haven't read it because I don't have time. I mean, I have time, but I don't have Hamlet time, you know? Like, when there is a certain book, you are like, I need to find a specific time in my life to read this, which is probably a very bad way of reading or interacting with anything in life, or like, I'll use this when the time comes. But like, I'm not in a Hamlet mood yet, so that's the same thing I have going on with the book over there, Ancillary Justice by Anne Leckie. I'm like, no, not right now, I'll do it later. And when will I actually read the book? Who knows? One of my favorite plays of all time, The Last Days of Judas Iscariot by Stephen Adly Georgis. It's such a good play. Everyone should read it. It is just such an absurdist play, and there are lines from this play that one, I have on the wall, and two, I have in my heart. I haven't read this because the first time I read it, I sort of spiraled. But after that, I haven't read it since. But hoping luck, we will read it again. Pygmalion, Bernard Shaw. Sure. I had this for second semester, third semester. So we had to read it. But could not care less. Like, alright. The only iconic character in here is Eliza, obviously. Could not care about the men, which is like my same rhapsody that I say about most media. But Romeo and Juliet, by Shakespeare. Have I read this? No. This cover art is so fucking stupid. What does this have to do with anything with Romeo Juliet? I mean, yes, these violent delights have violent ends, but like the tip of a knife. The blood is a heart. Whoa! Who designed this? Cover designed by Robert Matthias. Robert Matthias. Come on, man. I shouldn't make fun of him. Tennessee Williams, A Streetcar Named Desire. Okay. Yeah, okay. I should have. I should reread it, is what I'm trying to say. I think it would go better if I reread it. But I mean, okay. Once again, William Shakespeare, Othello. Have I read it? No. I will read. I don't know much about Othello. Because I feel like I know that it's a board game. If a single one of my professors watches this and is like, you're an English student and you don't know what Othello by Shakespeare is, it's a board game. I'm gonna they'll expel me on the spot. Just leave. You know what? Fair. Continuing Shakespeare books that I have but have not read. A Midsummer's Night Dream. I feel like when I tried to read it, it confused me. I mean, which is sort of the point of the play, but you know what I mean. Great cover, by the way. This is a good cover. We love donkeys. We love asses. Okay, my favorite Shakespeare comedy, Much Ado About Nothing. This cover, fine, I guess, but one of the most timeless pieces, and I personally think of this as a rom-com, but one of the most timeless pieces of just fuck all comedy Shakespeare way. I love the stage productions of this as well. The one with Shakespeare in the Park with an all black cast is really, really good. And then, of course, which I feel like people don't talk as much as they talk, the one with Catherine Tate and David Tennant. That one is good as well. I really like the stage design of like the revolving floor. But the Shakespeare in the Park one adds like a separate flavor to it. It's really, really good. People should check it out. Now we're moving on to the non-fictions. We have Bell Hooks, All About Love. I read this. I think I gave this like 5 stars, but I don't know how I would give it now. But I really, really like the way she writes about. Have I written in this in pen? Oh no, past me, why did you do that? Okay, I was trying to be like, everything is permanent in this life, let me use a pen. Don't do that, come on, I'm angry at myself. Okay, I think this counts as non-fiction. Anthony Bourdain, Kitchen Confidential. I adore his writing, especially when it comes to food writing, because he's so fucking brutally honest. He doesn't give a shit. He's like, yeah, this is how it is. And he hates vegetarians. No, he doesn't hate vegetarians as much as he hates vegans, because for him, butter and milk is like a main part of the cuisine. I mean, live how you want to live, but I really, really like his writing. This one specifically is about like his time and how he became a chef, and how, you know, important things to remember when you are being a chef. This is the one with like handwritten footnotes. So this is the revised edition where he was given the copy again, and he wrote in it in like with a pen, and then they scanned that and then they added it. I don't know, it adds like a touch to the book that it would not have normally. It's really, really cool. Then there's this, forgot the title, Ghostland and American History in Haunted Places. Back when I was on Tumblr, I saw a lot of my mutuals talking about how, like, as a haunted house connoisseur, this is like a must reading, because it talks about, like, you know, haunted houses and haunted places, specifically via the context of it. Because guess what, a lot of the haunted places in America have like history of violence over there, specifically history of violence against like slaves or like marginalized people, and people don't talk about that, and they're like, it's just haunted. Maybe it's haunted because of like the echoes of violence in there, because of what the American wheel churned out. Ooh, was one of my favorite non-fiction books, The Library Book by Susan Orlean. This one is specifically about the I think the Los Angeles or Chicago book bursting into flames. Wow, I don't remember at all. Yeah, Los Angeles Public Library going up in flames. It is also a lot about library communities and how libraries work and stuff like that. And as someone who wants to be a librarian, I loved this. It's also really pretty. Apparently, there's another one that's like blue and gold, which like I'm like, I would have liked that, but I mean, considering it has to do with fire, red and gold is fine. Why am I critiquing the cover art for books like I'm a graphic designer? You know what, I'm gonna keep doing it. Then the book that caused some controversy in my hostel was I'm Glad My Mom Died by Janet McCurdy. I got this book, and every single person who saw me reading this book was like, why did you buy this book? And it was really, really funny because the title is very blaring and very to the point. She's glad her mom died. Chronicles her life in like just the horribly abusive conditions of growing up with her family, and how she was treated on Nickelodeon, and by how Hollywood like chewed her and spat her out. Also, I will say it's written exceptionally well, but exceptionally simple. I think I finished this book in like 4 hours straight. I could not put it down, and it was like easy to read, and it did not distract me as much. So I mean, props to her. This is a really, really good book. That's all there is for this. Kavi, we're gonna put it back in. Remember how I said that was the last of the books? I was lying. There are more books in here. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf by Edward Albee. Insane play. I need to watch the movie. I watched like 5 minutes of the movie, and I got stressed and I had to put it down. I think I read it. I think I read it all at once. It's a pretty simple play, but it's a pretty like, you put the play down and you're like, woof. This play can be described as the song No Children by the Mountain Goats, of people who, please dear God, should be divorced but are never going to be divorced because they're just going to stay in that marriage and rot and make each other worse. Yeah. Crying in H-Mart by Michelle Zauner. This is, if I'm remembering correctly, the vocalist for the Japanese Breakfast, and this is her experience as a Korean American, losing her mom and having to reckon with that grief, and also with losing a part of her culture. It'll make you cry. Have the 100 years war on Palestine. Again, I have to read this, and it is genuinely really, really sad and fully on me that I have not read this yet because I've been so caught up in other books. I think this is required reading in this day and age to just, know more about what is happening in Gaza and the larger scope of years of settler colonialism in Palestine. I feel like this is required reading, so everyone should read this. Next we have They Came to Slay, Queer Culture of D&D. This is like a small, cute little book. A big idea, pocket-sized book, I think is the whole thing of it. It's like, I bought this because one of my friends told me that this is like a really cute book to get in. It's a nice quick read. I think like not even 110 pages. Also a small read. We should all be feminists. This is basically like an essay or like a speech that was made into a book. I bought this on impulse. Way too expensive for what a book this size should be from where I got it. But I guess we will take that L. We will take that L. Next up here is we have voice crack. Next up here we have this in the front are children's literature, or what I classify as children's literature, And in the back we have mangas, and on the top I think we have graphic novels. And this is like the graphic novel slash children's novels place. I truly would have so much more manga if I was not constrained by, space, or if like my mom hadn't threatened me that do not buy any more manga. So otherwise I would be drenched in manga right now. Don't say that. Oh, don't say that. I think we will go with manga first. So number 1 is another impulse buy, but a good impulse buy, Uzumaki by Junji Ito. I've read his other big story collections as well, like Tomie. I'll be honest, Tomie as much as has much more cultural impact, kind of. I liked Uzumaki more because it's just complete horror sense, not senseless, but more of like a horror that doesn't have a purpose. It is horror and it is horrific, and there is no escape from it. There is no respite. There is no heroes. It's just all the way downhill. It's all the way spiral downhill. I said that as if it was something funny. Whatever. I think people should read it. It's really good. I got the hardcover version of this. It's a tome. It could easily knock out someone. Then we have one of my favorite. Does this count as shoujo? I don't think it does. Witch Hat Atelier. This is not the first one. This is the 8th one, but that's like really good characters on there. I think one of the best takes on magic school and magic society kind of thing. As I grow older, I'm getting sort of magic school. It's like I've been in school. I don't want to go to magic school. I'm tired of school. But this is a really, really refreshing take about how, and clearly Shirahama sensei has done a lot of work into how the witch society works, how the human society works, what are the classifications of being a witch, and this has like a spin-off food manga as well called Kitchen of Witch Hat, where they have done like extensive work in like the food world building as well, which is really, really cool. I only have 1 to 8 because again I don't have any space, and also I don't have money. Then we have like my favorite shoujo series, which is Skip and Loafer or Skip to Loafer, depending on what your translation says. But this is so good. This is one of the best shoujos ever. Really well written. All the characters have their moment. All the characters are deep and are flawed, and their flaws are discussed. And I think in the recent issues there's like there are some side characters, yes, or like minor characters, but even they have like a place to shine, and it's very clear and deliberate writing to reflect like people's lives and these kids' lives as they're going through high school and as they're growing. And surprisingly, romance is like not a huge deal in it. I mean, it specifically has romance, like a romantic stuff plot and stuff like that, but it more deals with like, do you want to get into romance because of what society is telling you, or do you want that because of what you want? Do you feel like that would fulfill you, or like is that something that even has to be there to fulfill someone? It's really, really good. Everyone should read it. Then are my miscellaneous manga. I'm gonna breeze past this real quick. Dungeon, a Delicious in Dungeon. You know what it is. It's a bunch of people go into a dungeon and they're like, let's eat all the monsters, because they have to find one of their adventurer friend. It's classic. I think I bought it before the anime came out, and now everyone knows about it. And I'm like, yeah. Can I be honest? I read the entire manga series. I have problems with the ending, specifically about how it addresses death and stuff like that. But I'll keep that to myself. Maybe I'll do a video on that someday. One of my favorite shonen series, Marriage Toxin. Yeah. Again, like I said in my last video, shonen series are often on very thin ice with me, because shonen's, it's aimed towards young boys, and I'm not a young boy, even if that's what my fashion sense tells you. But this is one of the few that's like really, really well done. Is it a harem anime, or sorry, a harem manga? Yes, but it has like the bare structure of a harem anime. Why do I keep saying anime? Of a harem manga, but it runs with it of like, no, I don't really want to date all of you. I sort of just want to be friends with all of you. And the main guy is so handsome. And then Kinosaki, I love you. They're one of my favorite characters. And it also has quite a lot of queer representation. Like, first chapter, there's queer representation. It doesn't just go away. Although, some parts of it people might argue is problematic. But, blue period. I got this at a moment in my life where I was feeling very existential and, like, not creative at all. And this got me back into that creativity. But this manga I read ahead a lot, and I reached a point where like either I burnt out or it made me too emotional that like the fuse short circuited and I could no longer pick this back up. So I might donate this copy because of just like how much effort I put into reading it and like how disconnected I am to that, which is really sad because it's a really, really good manga about like becoming an artist and what being an artist in this day and age entails and how different hard work and talent is. It's really, really good. If you had noticed by now, you would know that I have a lot of food mangas because I love food mangas. One of the best mangas ever made. She loves to cook, she loves to eat. I can talk about this forever. I might do a separate video just talking about this series. But basic is two women, one of them likes cooking but doesn't like cooking for, you know, other people, because when she does, people are like, oh, you'll be such a good wife, you'll be such a good housewife and a mom, and she's like, haha, no, I don't want to do that. And the other is a woman who likes to eat, but people are always like, you should not eat so much, you're not going to be a good wife. She's like, fuck off. But they both meet and then they both start a relationship of like, she cooks for her and she eats, because the way she eats, she finds that someone is actually liking my food for the food and my effort and not just of what it entails for society. And then they fall in love. It's so cute. I love, look at the back, look at the front. It has a J-drama as well. I'm watching the J-drama. I'm watching the second season, which I have been watching for like 2 months, but I keep getting sidetracked because Japanese J-dramas go a little slow for me, but the manga is much more fast. I want to get the second, third and fourth volume, but I don't have money. I never have money. Last manga was lesbians but food. We now have gay people but food. This is our dining table. It's a one shot. It's a pretty well-known one shot, I think. It's just two people getting together and cooking. And finding comfort in food. My favorite trope, I don't want, calling it trope seems like so fandom lingo, derogatory, but I really love the whole concept of people finding comfort and processing their emotions / grief through food and through communities built on food. That's one of my favorite things, and I love seeing that in either books or manga or art, whatever. It's one of my favorite things. Similar to that, again, the same thing is Sweetness and Lightning. Single dad with his kid meets one of a high school student, and then they all cook together and they deal with their trauma and their grief of losing people or being afraid. And it has, recipes and stuff in it as well. And it has really good food art. Yum, 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 yum. Okay, children's literature, which, I mean, some of this maybe not fully exactly children's literature, but still pretty good. This is my copy of Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. It has the first book and the second book, and I've been a huge Alice in Wonderland fan since forever. So my mom got it for me. It's like hardcover and it's like red with green bluish metallic flamingos on it. Are you kidding me? That's gorgeous. And it's such an Alice in Wonderland like theme. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's like, and it has like all the original um, illustrations and the Jabberwocky poem flipped, so that only a part of it, but flipped so you can read it only if you put it in front of the mirror, which is so cool. Do I have the Jabberwocky poem memorized? Yes. That's I'm a true Alice head. I'm a true Wonderland head. None of those are catching on. Then this real cute, the Tea Dragon Society graphic novel. Really, really great art, really, really great representation, really, really great story, paneling, just an all around great small graphic novel. I think this is a book which like you can give to kids and to adults, and both of them would enjoy it, which is I think like the best kind of book, where it's like something which everyone can enjoy. This is Lonely Castle in the Mirror. I think this is a book translated from Japanese. For some reason, I didn't connect with this book. Maybe I read it at a wrong period in my life. But this is supposed to be a very comforting book and very like friendship focused book. But I didn't click well with it. Maybe I'll give it another go. Next up in books for children, but which will make you sob even as an adult, The Little Prince. It made me so emotional when I read it for the first time, and it's like on this waxy paper, and it has all the illustrations as well. So all my annotations I had to do like really hard with a pencil so they won't like slip all over. You know about Little Prince, it's gonna make you cry no matter where you are. Roald Dahl, of course, George's Marvelous Medicine. Actually, my favorite Roald Dahl is Matilda, but this one I think I found it like somewhere like on sale for really cheap, so I nabbed it because I was really fond of it when I was of this book specifically growing up, because I liked the descriptions of like different stuff which he puts into the medicine to make the medicine, of like a long-winded list of like oil and hairspray and stuff like that. They had to have put a warning on this book. The parents had to put off like, don't try this at home please, because you know kids would have been like, I'm gonna make George's Marvelous Medicine, and then they dumped a bunch of hairspray and shit and oil in a can and was like, Mom, can you drink this? And the mom was like, oh my god. Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. Is it better than a Ghibli film? Yes and no, because the Ghibli film is its own in right, in the sense of like romance and sweeping visions and beautiful art, but I will say the characters in this are much more fleshed out and much more real. This Sophie and this Howl are like such a gorgeous couple, and they hate each other but they don't, and they just constantly make trouble for each other, and it's a really, really great book, and that which will hit if you are an adult or a kid, which like I said is the best kind of book. Speaking of books like those, The Tale of Despereaux, this is I think like a quintessential kid story of like long time ago, but it's written in such a gorgeous prose and a gorgeous story that like if I or when I become like an aunt, I'm going to like read this story aloud to my nieces and nephews and nibblings of like this. It's like a story that's meant to be read aloud in front of like a fireplace crackling. You know, it's a gorgeous story. I think everyone should read it. Okay, that's that done. We have so many more. Fuck. Remember how I keep saying that that's done, and then I remember I have actually 2 more books. Why do I keep doing this? Emily Carroll's A Guest in the House. Oh. Just one of the most insane graphic novels in terms of like paneling and color palette I've read. Just look at that. It's horror, by the way, if you couldn't tell, but it's so extremely gorgeous. I think if you take the jacket off, yeah, it's like this red colored book, like that. It's gorgeous. I don't want to take the dust jacket off fully, because God knows I fuck up my dust jackets just on the merit of having them, but I couldn't probably fuck them up worse when I take them out. And then, of course, Fun Home by Alison Bechdel. I had this before itself, and then we actually had it for a course, which was fun. So I got to read it for a second time over, but using like my English honors lens of like trying to find references and stuff like that, which I hadn't known when I first read it. It's full of like literary references, but oof, yeah, it's really, really great read. I think everyone should read this. Everyone should read this and Alison Bechdel's comic strips, Lesbians to Watch Out For. That's not actually the title, but I don't think I'm allowed to say that word. So, which is like a comic strip she had running during her time as a cartoonist. It's really, really great. I think people should read it. I think she has another one about her mother, and in which the color palette is all like red and pinks, but I did not like that one as much because it was much more psychology based, and this one is much more literature based. So obviously I like this one better. Okay, now I actually finished this cubby. On to the next one. This cubby is classics, or basically like stuff which everyone is like, you have to read this. So classics basically, but also like semi-contemporary. I don't know how to explain it. It's basically books like which are on reading lists and stuff like that. First up is Classic Stories Edgar Allan Poe collection. Have I read this? No. I need to. It's just that it's really tiny and I get bored, and there aren't even like, why is it formatted like this? It's just blocks of text. There is no respite. But it is really pretty. It's all like gold foil and the edges are blue metallic. But it has a lot of its classic stories. I mean, eventually I will read them, but not right now. Then, a vintage ass copy of Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. This is not my copy. This was my mom's copy that she didn't exactly give to me, more in the sense that like I took it and I ran and I erased her name written on it in pen and wrote mine in pen. So now it's my copy. It's fully falling apart and so dusty and has that old book smell, but it's like one of, like, I think this is a classic. I think this is also my favorite Austen. Pride and Prejudice is like most people's favorite Austen, but definitely my favorite Austen. I think my second favorite is Persuasion. I haven't read Emma though, even though I've watched like a lot of movies based around Emma, but I haven't read Emma. The Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. Have I read this? No. I need to. It has I think illustrations and stuff like that. I mean, it's supposed to be like a really easy to read prose, but I mean, does anybody wake up and go today's the day, I'm gonna take an off from work, I'm gonna read the entire Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri, and this is like, I think this is only book 1. This is only like, no, it's all of it. I'm sorry. It is Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso. But who the fuck wakes up one morning and goes, I'm gonna read the Divine Comedy today. Put everything on hold. I'm gonna read the Divine Comedy today. I have better things to do. I mean, I will read it one day, but I'm not gonna wake up one morning and be like, I'm gonna read the Divine Comedy. Come on. Then Charlotte Bronte Jane Eyre. I feel like I would not have read it in any other case if it had not been for my course. But I'm glad I read it because it is like a foundational text in women's writing, but also it has inspired several other foundational books and several other, some might say much more exciting book, like The White Sargasso Sea by Jean Rhys, which talks about from the other woman, the woman in the attic's perspective, and another book talking about the other woman in the attic's perspective, Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, which I'm still reading. It's been like months I'm still reading that book. I don't know why I keep pausing, but I have to read that. Let's give it up for more books I have not read. Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Did I pronounce that correctly? Dostoevsky. I think I did. I think this will also be a book that like I will either vehemently hate or really, really, really love. But again, I have not had time. I'm sure there are people out there who wake up and are like, you know what, I'm in a Dostoevsky mode, I'm gonna read Crime and Punishment. Those people definitely do exist, but I have not reached that stage yet. So it's still sitting unread on my bookshelf. A Thousand Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. Listen, I know people talk about The Kite Runner all the time, and The Kite Runner was extremely like traumatic and poignant and stuff like that. But to me, my favorite Khaled Hosseini will always be A Thousand Splendid Suns. Maybe because it's much more female focused than, male focused as like The Kite Runner is. But this book always makes me just like cry and makes me just like I think the first time I read it, I like went blank for like a solid 2 hours and I didn't notice time passed because I was still thinking about that book. It's a really good book. Speaking of books that feel like someone punched you in the face, Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut. Everyone should read this book. It's really small. You should read this book. I think one of the best books about how futile and in the end fucking stupid war is. And while the rest of this book is pretty, like, it has similar vibes as I would say in terms of its hilarity and kookiness. Is that like a word we can use in academic discourse? My academic discourse is YouTube video. What the fuck is that book called which I'm thinking about? Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. There we go. It took me like way too long to think of that, but I think it's like opening prologue or opening chapter always makes me cry. So it goes, Next up, a book that I thought I would hate, but I kind of liked, Dracula by Bram Stoker. Definitely has a lot of anti-Semitic imagery in here, so clearly, but I thought it would be one of those books which is like, and then the man saved everyone and we all went home happy, hooray. But it was pretty like layered in the sense of like how it uses the epistolatory, pronouncing it wrong I'm pretty sure, format of like letters and like telegrams and diary entries. Obviously it was a first for its time, but also it's genuinely a very interesting read, maybe which is why the whole Dracula daily thing has kicked off so much, because people are realizing that, hey, getting a thing every day from just a guy talking about his horrible experience with Dracula is really, really funny and also really, really like tense in a way that like previous novels had not done. It's surprisingly a really good book. I don't know why I keep saying surprised when it's like been a classic for a reason, but you know how people have that attitude towards classics of like, well, you're going to be mostly full of like misogynistic, racist stuff. Not to say that this one isn't, but like the plot was enough to like keep me going, even though it had like several problematic stuff. We have another winner in books I have not read but have, Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird. Honestly, fully disappointing that I have not read this. It's fully like my fault, and you can boo and throw tomatoes at me. You can go ahead and do that. And I should read it, but I have not. This one I feel like people actually are going to send me like anthrax in the mail for not reading. It's Beloved by Toni Morrison. I have read other books by Toni Morrison. I just haven't read Beloved till now, which is, a red flag, because Beloved is undoubtedly one of her best works, but I have yet to read it. Toni Morrison writes in such a distinct way that everyone should read it, in a very, like, it's hard to describe. When I think of Toni Morrison's writing and prose, I always think of molasses, hard burnt caramel molasses kind of a thing. I don't know why. This might be, I think, my favorite Toni Morrison, Sula. Also, the cover art is really, really pretty. We were just girls together. That's a line from the book, which makes me extremely emotional. But the bell jar by Sylvia Plath, it's fine. I mean, probably for its time it was revolutionary. I mean, it's fine. We all have mental breakdowns. It's okay. But reading it and like the racism and really jumps out at you out of nowhere, and you go, whoa, okay, Miss Plath, you did not need to add that. I was like going fine with your mental breakdown and your barest smudges and hints of lesbianism, but you had to come up with the racism. Okay, all right. It's a fine book. I mean, you wouldn't die if you hadn't read it, but like, it's fine. Jean Grace White Regards to see. Basically, like, you know, sort of like a response to Jane Eyre, brings in elements of like colonial nature and how like the colonial empire ran back then, and you know, Creole, because it's based around an heiress, a Creole heiress, Antoinette Cosway, and how she gets married to like a young Englishman, and how like she's treated by people from both cultures. It's a really, really great read, but I feel like it's a great read if you have context in the sense of Jane Eyre. But this is, I feel like, better than Jane Eyre, because Jane Eyre is like pretty boring after a point. Albert Camus, Myth of Sisyphus. Have I read this fully? No. I've read, like, I feel like only the titular play I've read, but even that I've read on like only a few parts of it. But I have to read it. He's one of my favorite, like, not theoreticians, but like essayist. Does this count as an essay? Who knows? One must imagine Sisyphus happy. Ernest Hemingway, Old Man and the Sea. I have not read it despite it being a very small book. Hemingway's writings in general, I'm like, it's like, I mean, I'm sure other people like it, but I don't just gel well with his writing. Joseph Conrad, Heart of Darkness, pissed me off, but I had to read it for a semester, and it's like, fine, alright, you're in the heart of darkness of like, oh my god, the horror that is, you know, Africa, and what are we people doing to these people. I'm sure you changed a lot of people's minds. Okay, alright. Sorry, reading all these books as someone who's Indian makes me eye roll at a lot of the classics, where it'll be like, oh, this is a great plot, and then bam, out of nowhere, those savages in India. Man, come on, I was enjoying the book, namely Sherlock Holmes. Watson is fine, and out of nowhere he'll be like, when I was shot in that horrible country of India. It's like, what you can just talk about your injury without bringing India into this. Why were you there in the first place, sir? Who asked you to be there? You can just go back to your country. He pisses me off whenever he talks about India. Anyways, Karika by Bama. We had this, I think, as part of our talking about alternative writings based on apart from the canon of like dead white authors or whatever they call it. Basically, perspective of a Dalit woman's life, which she wrote herself. One of the first, you know, voices from Dalit women writings. Really, really great book. Really, really easily readable book, but also like very sharp and biting in like its episodic nature, and just like it's not fully linear. It like jumps around the place, but very, very useful and in what it's achieving to do, which is trying to tell people like the stark reality of living as a Dalit in India. Then James Baldwin, If Beale Street Could Talk. Again, have not read it. I need to get into more Baldwin because I feel like he would break my heart in a very specific way that only Baldwin could. But I have to read it. I think I have to read this, and I have to read what other work of his that's like really famous. Giovanni's room. I have to read Giovanni's room as well, but this is the one which I found like pretty cheap, so I got this one first to like dip a few toes into the pool that is James Baldwin. Then I have Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. I was super hesitant to read this because, and I have not read it, but I was super hesitant to even buy this because I was like, I don't know how graphic it gets, because it's basically a story written from the perspective of a pedophile. But I've been told it doesn't get that graphic. It does extremely unnerve people. But yeah, I bought this specifically not having a child on the cover, which Nabokov did not want, but every copy of Lolita will have like some young woman or child on the cover, and it's like, what are you trying to make this book as, when like the author explicitly stated it not to have that because of the wrong, message it might send people. But I specifically got one that has like some fuck ass flowers and like lemons. Is that lemons? Those are pears. What are they? Eaten from still life. Well, tell me if they're lemons or pears. Those look like pears. Sorry to all lemon heads. And then Moby Dick or the whale. First of all, gorgeous copy. Gorgeous cover art. I got this again for sale real quick at a used bookstore, and it has like an inscription from like a previous person who owned it about how they should visit the New Bedford landmarks, and it's so cute. I love when second-hand books have inscriptions or like annotations from previous owners. It's really, really cute to see. But I think that's all there is for the classics section. Once again, I have lied. I have discovered more books that I did not talk about. Really quick, 1984, George Orwell. I mean, you know what it is. Big Brother is watching you. Did this screw up my head the first time? Kind of. Especially the ending. The ending just, I was like, people can do this? What the hell? But the middle was sort of like boring and slovenly because it was a lot of political talk, and I was like, I'm not here for all of that. I want to see what happens to the characters. But overall, pretty good book. I hate this cover though. I don't know why. I just hate this cover. I wish I had any other cover apart from that. Wuthering Heights, Emily Bronte. Another book which I have not read but which I found really cheap at second hand and used books, so I got it. Probably the reason why I have not read it till now is this small ass fucking font. It's just make the font bigger and like space it out. You see this big ass glasses I have to wear? You're gonna make me blind. Come on, please. Publishers, Penguin, come on. Metamorphosis by Kafka. This is so cute and so small. It has a piece of paper in it which like my friend gave me a wax seal, and I have it put into this page. But it's like basically like a under 100 pages or 110 pages book. Doesn't have anything else except for just the story. Really, really great story or book. I think it counts as a book. Really, really great book. His letters to his father, which was a separate thing which I read. I read it at around 7, and I finished reading it around 7:30, 7:45 because I'm a speed reader, and I went to sleep. It made me so emotional, and I was like, I cannot deal with the emotions of after reading Letters to My Father by Franz Kafka. I shut my laptop and I went to sleep at 8 p.m. Not having eaten anything, I went to sleep because I was like, if I am awake right now, I will think about it, and I don't want to think about this. So I went to fucking sleep, and I woke up at 9, and then I had dinner. That's how brutal his writings were, like, to his father. Everyone should read it, and but read it at your own risk because it's gonna make you really emotional. And now have I talked about every book? Yes, we have. Okay. Real quick, who's this depressed ass woman on the cover? Is she like an actress? Or did they get this woman specifically for Jane Eyre and were like, can you act depressed for the cover real quick in this like hat situation? I would be like, you better be paying me a lot of money if you want to put my depressed face on a bunch of books. We're shifting to this side, folks. This side is, I think, science fiction, fiction, horror, and contemporary. Basically, this section is what else I could not fit in the other sections. So everything is just stuck over here. This section is honestly overfilling. I might have to allocate it in other places. Okay, let's clean. Okay, here we go. Brothers Grimm, complete illustrated. This gorgeous hardcover old copy which I got. Have I read it? No. This is, we know the story, people. Keep up. So many books, so much time. I have not read them, but this is, I think, a sound investment because it has all of them. It's illustrated, it's the original, and it's pretty big font. So next I have Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I have not touched this book because I bought this book and then I went and I asked a bunch of my friends, hey, I bought this new fantasy book, and they were like, oh, most people over here have like bad reactions to it, or like some people like it, most people are like, it's fine. So I was like, well, eventually I will read it maybe, but I have not found the time, because most people around me are like, either have not read it or like did not like it. So I mean, maybe I will like it. I'm a usual liker of things, so maybe, perhaps we can make it work. Susanna Clarke's Piranesi. This is a gorgeous book. This is, I think, also epistolatory in a sense, kind of, sort. No, it is not epistolatory. It's like episodic. That's the word I was looking for. But it has to be one of the most magical prose and magical concepts, and the beauty of the house is immeasurable, its kindness infinite. That's like one of the main lines from the text. But it has a slow dawning realization of a larger plot and of larger powers at play. But I love how it first starts, when you have like this very simple existence, but just mysteries lurking in the shadows or in the corners, where like the protagonist may not recognize them, but we do. It's a phenomenal book. Everyone should read it. It's like, how many pages does it have? I think like less than 300. Yeah, it's only like 250 somewhat pages. It's really good. Everyone should read it. The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I'm about to get murdered for this, but not only did I not finish it, I did not particularly gel with it. I was like, I mean, it's fine. I know it is like tragic and stuff. Maybe I read it at a time where I was like burnt out from Greek mythology, because I did a long line of like Greek mythology, because I was a Percy Jackson fan. But I like fully burnt out of it, and I was like, I'm just like, it's not that, glaring or jarring. It's like, I mean, I see why people like it. The prose is pretty good, and the story like easily gels with you of like the context, even if you don't have like Greek mythology context or whatever. But I mean, I did not finish it. So the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin, I liked this book, but for some reason I can't remember a single goddamn thing about this book. It's gone from my memory. It's someone Men in Black memory swiped it from my memory. Which probably is a good thing, because it has like a really good twist in it, but I don't even remember the twist. It's just gone from my memory. I don't know where did it go. And this is not like a something against N.K. Jemisin of like she writes so bad that it erases from my memory. It's just my memory. I have a really bad memory. But for some reason I cannot remember this book. But I liked it. I know that I finished it. I know that I liked it. But I don't remember a single goddamn thing from this book. Speaking of books which like, even if like you memory swiped me, I would remember, Ursula K. Le Guin's The Left Hand of Darkness. First of all, fucking hate this cover. ugly as shit cover. Looks like AI, honestly. Looks AI generated and does not look good at all, actually. It looks like shit. Illustration by Vincent Chong. This is an illustration. Illustration where? I mean, I guess, but come on, man. For one of our best exemplary works, this is not good enough. But it starts slow, and it starts boring, and it starts in a way that most people would drop it off, which I call the Ursula K. Le Guin effect of like she will reward you for trudging through things which may not seem which seem inconsequential to you, or like are just world building she is adding with her last 100 pages, which are guaranteed to knock you out. And this has proven successful in this book, in all four of her Earthsea books. She is a master at slowly creeping up on you and jumping on you and then just like making you cry. She shares the same kind of use of how the plot moves with Terry Pratchett, of like the last 100 pages of an Ursula K. Le Guin novel and last 100 pages of any Discworld book will make you emotional / cry. And this one made me sob. I was like reading it, and then we had to go up for dinner, so I was like, oh, I have to go up for dinner, I guess. But I was like, fuck it, and I took the book with me, and I'm eating and I'm reading and I'm sobbing, and people are coming up to me in my desk like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine, just leave me alone. And I'm like shoveling roti and sabji in my mouth as I'm reading it. It's great. I mean, I have people who are like, they dropped it off in the first 1/3 because they were like, it's boring. And I was like, I mean, I can't fault you for that, because it's pretty world buildy and pretty like, because it's from the perspective of a researcher who is in a planet to like, bring them under the fold of like their empire or mega ship, and like talking to the kingdom over there. And it has some innovative ideas about gender, some of them which like I have problems with, but most of which are really, really inventive and innovative for its time. But it's such a gorgeous book. I feel like everyone should read it. Miss Le Guin. Miss Le Guin. Dune. Gorgeous cover. Have I read it? No. I feel like my mom is gonna watch this and be like, why are you buying more books if you have not read them, the ones which you already have? And I'm like, hey, listen, I cannot explain, but it has pretty easy prose. I just don't know, I'm not in a Dune mood. Even when the movie came out, I was not in a Dune mood. I've not duned it up till now. So even if that had easy writing, how the fuck am I supposed to read the 3-body problem? I got this because everyone was raving about it, and it seems like it's simple, but it's supposed to have like a really complicated plot, or like really complicated world building, or like hard to read or something. So it's just been sitting, and I've not read it. I need to get back into my whole sci-fi. I've spent too much time in fantasy. I feel like I need to get back into my sci-fi / more sci-fi focused than fantasy focused books. But as of now, I have not read those. Moving on to like contemporary / horror. Actually, no, I have one more Le Guin, The Dispossessed, which I have not read, nor do I know anything about. So we're just gonna keep it over there. I just bought it on a whim because I was like, oh, more Le Guin, but like tiny ass book, tiny ass writing. I was like, I'm bored, I don't want to do it right now. Lovecraft Country by Matt Ruff. What is surprising is I have Lovecraft's entire collection, which I'm yet to read, and this one, but I have not read this one. I think it's specifically it's written to be a devastating kaleidoscope portrait of racism, but I think I read like 1/4 of it and then I got bored. So I think I was reading these books at a time where I had not realized how to trick my brain into reading stuff, is to read like 4 books at the same time. So I'll be reading a fantasy book, a non-fic book, one sci-fi book, one essay book, four mangas, and that's the way to trick my brain, where it's like if I'm tired of a certain point of one book, I jump to the other book. And that's the way, like, and that's why I'm able to finish so much books in so much time, because I trick my brain into reading multiple books and never getting bored. So I mean, I might give it a chance again now that I have those tricks up my sleeve. Yeah, Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. Gorgeous, scary in a way that, like, I don't think any other book has been. I wouldn't call it creepy, I would call it unnerving mostly, but unnerving in a very Annihilation way. Um, I've met people who are like, the movie was so good, and I'm like, I prefer the book. I mean, I have not watched the movie, but I really, really, really love the book. It scares the shit out of me because of just the pure unknown, which Vandermeer utilizes so well in his books, of like, he will never explain what it is fully, which is why I'm a little hesitant to read the next books in the trilogy, because it's a trilogy. It's like, I don't want explanations, I just want it to be how it is. It is creepy and unnerving how it is. Then I'm thinking of ending things. I bought this, I'll be honest, because of a Jacob Keller video essay. Did not understand the book. I'm gonna be honest, brother, it went over my fucking head. I might need to read it again, or like get some help from someone as to what the fucking book is about. But from like what I grasped from other people talking about it, I was like, okay, but I just did not make sense to me. Now we're on to one of my favorite writers of all time, Shirley Jackson. We have always lived in the castle. You know what it is. I've talked about it in my previous video. Haunting of Hill House. I will make a separate video on this, talking about how gorgeous of a book it is and how not like the Netflix series it is. But I will make a separate video on this. Don't you worry. Actually, I meant to make a separate video on a lot of Shirley Jackson works. But speaking of other works, I have two story collections by her. This one called Dark Tales, and this one called The Lottery and Other Stories. The Lottery is a short story of her which she first got fame for. I mean, everyone should read it, mostly because when I say, oh, I feel like I feel like they're going to put me in the lottery, everyone looks around me like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, do you not get the reference? Oh, okay. And I'm like, please read The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. It's a really good short story. One of my favorite short stories of her is The Possibility of Evil. For some reason, it is so extremely delicious to me, in the sense that it's evil in such a human way. You know, Shirley Jackson is phenomenal when it comes to speaking about human acts of evilness or meanness and cruelty. Nobody does it like her. But she's also really good at like the spectral aspect of it, of like ghosts and like hauntings. But she understands that hauntings are like echoes of violence and trauma existing in physical structures which came from human beings. She's phenomenal at it. Everyone should read Shirley Jackson, but especially the short story The Possibility of Evil, or A Possibility of Evil. I might be wrong. Then Carmen Maria Machado, which is Her Body and Other Parts, which is like her short stories and prose stories. You know, this one is like, I really, really love her short story. I recently read a recent short story of her, which I'm completely blanking on the name, but if I find it, I'll put it in the description or something. But which was like, I was like, this is classic Carmen Maria Machado. She is able to take common myths and spin them off in a very, very, not common myths, any media. She like takes media and collages and cuts it up and grinds it into a paste and then forms something entirely new from it. Like, there is one of the things here which is like, her story question mark called Especially Heinous, where it's like summaries of law and order special victims units cases, but done in like a very haunted ghost kind of way. It's very experimental but very, very unique to Carmen Maria Machado. I honestly recommend her In the Dream House more, even though it is technically non-fiction, technically not non-fiction, but it is a book about abuse through the vehicle of a haunted house, so watch out for that. Then the classic writer when it comes to bloody, gory, gothic fairy tales, The Bloody Chamber by Angela Carter. This I think like was like everyone should read this. I was not expecting how bloody it would be. Some of these stuff are like, oof. I think in one of the stories I've straight up written on the page, please for the love of God, read trigger warnings before reading this, because it comes out of nowhere and you just like, I think the one she's most famous for is the one about Bluebeards, her take on the Bluebeards. Yeah, the Bloody Chamber, which is the titular what the book is named after. But her prose is fantastic. She fully understands the prose that captures people in fairy tales, and she's able to write that down. So it's fantastic. She's really good at it. But she really does gothic and gore also very, very well. So there's that as well. Then I got like Susan Sontag's Illness as Metaphor, which I will do a separate video about, especially concerning like my chronic pain and stuff like that. Then, oh bitch, I did not think this book would be this big when I ordered it. It's Simon de Beauvoir's The Second Sex, which is like a formative text which we have to read some portions of for our gender class, gender literature on gender, imagining gender. I don't remember the course name, but I did not think it would be this big, because whenever I buy like Penguin Classics, it's usually like stuff like this. This bitch is 700 pages, which is on me. I did not read how many numbers it would be on, but still, slay. Pretty good. It has like pretty good breakup. No, I was wrong. It's just blocks of text. Fuck me. Alright. I'm gonna take a long time to read it, but I will read it eventually. More books that I have but have not read. Anthony Doerr's Cloud Cuckoo Land. It's supposed to be a lot about the love of literature and libraries and the interconnectedness between books and people, which is completely up my alley, but I have not read it, so who's to say. Then I have the novel to Welcome to Night Vale. If you couldn't tell about like most things about me, I am a Welcome to Night Vale fan. Although I cannot listen to it because if it feels wrong to listen to it in the day, but if I listen to it in the night, Cecil Baldwin's voice puts me to sleep in a good way, not because it's boring, but because his voice is like so perfect for sleepy times. And people are like, yeah, well, that's mostly what it's meant for. You're supposed to put it on and then like you're supposed to fall asleep. And I'm like, no, but I'm missing part of it. I can't bear to miss. I'm supposed to be alert and like listening to it. I had a brief time where I would listen to it while playing Stardew Valley, mining in Stardew Valley, which was a good arrangement. But I've like eschewed Stardew Valley to focus on better things, and by that I mean Candy Crush. I have an addiction, Candy Crush. I was just playing Candy Crush while watching Columbo, which has to be the strangest combination anyone has ever conceived. But again, have not read it because I think you have to pass a certain, season of Welcome to Night Vale to understand some part of these books. I mean, you don't need it definitely, but I am someone who will do that before reading the book. So this is again on standby. A book which I have read, Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. What is really funny is that I have read Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell, which is based on like what people presume to be the inspiration behind Hamlet by Shakespeare. But I have read this, but I have not read Hamlet, which has to be the most roundabout way of reading Shakespeare. But made me cry, made me weep. Maggie O'Farrell is really, really good at writing simple but hard-hitting prose. She's exceptional at it. It's so easy to read, and I think I finished it in like 2 or 3 days, and it made me cry. It's basically like the story of Shakespeare's son who died, who people theorize that he wrote Hamlet after, or named it because he had a son named Hamnet. But I think the last 50 pages made me sob. I think last 50 pages just like punch you in the face. Alright, Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang. Listen, it's a good book. Alright, it's a good thriller. Question mark. The entire concept of the book is you're in the mind of I'm not a racist white person, and watching her get away with microaggressions and racist stuff. And it's like, I mean, it's like an exemplary piece of work in how it is, but it comes off as extremely cartoonish. And also, I don't want to read that. It's just, I don't want to take time off of my day to read that. And also, the pacing in the second half fell completely flat, and I got bored and pissed off, and I sped read through the last 50 pages. So this is very much not my book. People rave about it, and there's also definitely people out there who have like why the book did not work for them. Maybe one day I will do something about like why I did not like this book, but that would mean I have to reread this book. Maybe I'll change my opinion, but I don't think so. It just like pisses me off. I don't want to read, I don't want to talk about this book, I don't want to think about this book. Then, ooh, chonk, House of Leaves. This is, I mean, like I said, I am a haunted house connoisseur, so I had to get this. It took me, I think, 6 months to read, which makes sense because it's a really hard book to get through on purpose. Again, it is epistolatory in a sense, but it's also like deliberately made to confuse you and made to waste your time and made to make you feel like you're trapped. And like, I remember while reading it, I had to keep shifting my legs to like, because I was like so engrossed in the book. When the book words got like compact together, I felt like I was compact as well, which is a really, really great skill for a book to like to evoke that emotion in someone. It's really, really good. But this is not a book that is extremely reader friendly. I would say it is reader hostile. It hates you and it doesn't want you to read it, but if you keep reading it, it is going to do its darndest to make your life a living hell. So it's just, it's a gorgeous book. I could do without the footnotes about a guy on his sex exploits. I did not care about that. Most of the time I just breezed past it. But this book is a really cool book, and like if you reread it and you focus on certain narratives, you're able to pick up different clues, and it's really, really good. And of course, the whole thing of like the word house being in blue, no matter where it is in the entire book, anywhere the word house is highlighted in blue, just such a cool concept. It's really cool. Oh, I'll just give a quick synopsis of why the house is haunted. The inside and the outside don't measure the same. It's like a 3.5 or something, 4.5 inches off, and that's like what starts off the whole obsession of like what is wrong with this fucking house. And it's really, really unnerving in a very, very House of Leaves ways. When people say, oh, this reminds me of House of Leaves, because it is a very specific kind of haunted house type, which like you can get it only if you read it, but reading it is a challenge, which like I do understand. Okay, next, this one, whoop, down there, is I think just contemporary works and self-help books which my mom buys me, and the entire A Series of Unfortunate Events box set, which I've read like 4 books and I'm slowly going my way through them. Again, it's like children's books, but like I'm in love with the prose, and it's a reason like it's a very long-standing beloved series amongst kids and amongst adults. So I have like all 13 of them, which like are in the back over here, and then basically this entire cubby is for it, and then around them are around other contemporary works. The Raven Boys by Maggie Steph Waiter, butchered that fucking name, but this is a just a really, really old and extremely cheap copy I got. Like it's all bandaged up and everything, but for some reason it did not click with me entirely. I think it's because I read it on the train and I was getting just like constantly a barrage of questions by this old man who I had never met, who was trying to make small talk, and I was clearly reading a book, and I like responded to his small talk, and it's like, yeah, I'm coming from there. He kept asking me for more details, which like I'm not going to give you a detail. I'm just like, I'm traveling alone back home, I'm not going to tell you about my life. But he kept asking me questions and kept trying to like, I'm reading a book, I don't want to talk to you. So I think that soured the experience. So I mean, maybe I'll give it another go. Banana Yoshimoto's Kitchen really relaxing read, really um, subtle read, you know. It's a just a fun read. It's not much there to it. Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. Um, Sort of an insane novel in which that I was like, wow, I completely understand her, of like how she's unable to fit into society because she has like a certain way of thinking. It clearly, like, you read it and you're like, neurodivergence. So like neurodivergent people are able to like click very similarly with her, of like why she's unable to understand why people are so like, I have to get married, I have to, you know, do this, and she's like, I just want to work a job and live my life. And it's a very stark and a very, you know, extremely raw way of like a protagonist that most people would consider to be strange and off-putting. Classic Agatha Christie, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. This is a classic because it's like one of the big three of Agatha Christie's like three most iconic novels. It is The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, Murder on the Orient Express, and Then There Were None, because the killer, the reveal of the killer is extremely shocking to people. I think out of these two, I would recommend Murder of Roger Ackroyd much more, because like Murder on Orient Express, it's like, I mean, it has been memed to hell and back, so people already know what the twist is. But Murder of Roger Ackroyd, I feel like people going in blind is going to be really, really fun for them. So, but these are two of like the Agatha Christie's people's like I feel like have to read. And the third one, which is my personal favorite, of like And Then There Were None, which doesn't have Poirot in there at all. But The Memory Police by Yoko, oh my god, I cannot pronounce, Yoko Ogawa, which I have not read because honestly I forgot about this book. It's like in the back, so I don't see it half the time, but I have to read it. I have been told it's like extremely, you know, magic realism, which is like completely up my alley. I love magical realism, and how magical realism serves often about stories about grief and stuff. So I feel like this is also about. Then Philip K. Dick's Do Android Dream of Electric Sheep, which is like the novel that became Blade Runner. What is happening to my voice? It's giving up on me after like so many hours of just yapping. I'll be honest, I read it, I didn't fully get it. I might have to reread it again now that I've grown older and wiser, hopefully. Well, definitely older. I don't think I've grown wiser. But I feel like a lot of it went over my head because I was trying so hard to like pick certain parts of it, but it went over my head. I have to like read it properly. This one, Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I liked it, but I've forgotten a lot of it. You know, at the time I loved it because it was like haunted house, rot, fungi, mushrooms, completely up my alley. But now I feel like if I reread it again, I don't know if I would still like it that much. But from what I remember, I really loved this book. I love any book that talks about like a haunted house. Then there are like these self-help books, which my mom got for me because she was like, this will help with your anxiety. This is Ikigai and the Courage to Be Disliked. Ikigai, I was like, it's a pretty good book. Courage to Be Disliked, I haven't read fully. So, remember how I stole Pride and Prejudice from my mom? I stole this from my dad, which is Murphy's Law, All the Reasons Why Everything Goes Wrong, which is obviously like a comedy book. But it has like my dad's sign in it and everything. But I feel like that's like the epitome of books that describe my mom and my dad. For my mom, it's Pride and Prejudice because she's like a huge Austen fan, and for my dad, it's like satirical, biting satire kind of thing. So Murphy's Law. So I stole this from my dad. I am a professional book stealer, and again, welcome to Night Well. These are the transcripts for episodes 1 to whatever was counted as season 1, which I have the transcripts for because I was like, I really want like a keepsake of Welcome to Night Well even, and also like the cover is gorgeous, mostly void, partially stars, iconic. If you've been on Tumblr any amount of time, you know how good that is. The transcripts are available online now itself, so you don't need to buy the transcript books, but I got it. I don't regret it. It's really, really cool. That's all there is for this shelf. The next shelf is just Discworld books. Um, since eventually I want to talk about the Discworld book either in my monthly reading or like a separate video where I just talk about like how amazing the Tiffany King series is. I won't go into them much, but I will critique the covers because I want to. Okay, now it's just Discworld books. This one I don't know why, but I got this huge ass cover for the snuff book so cheap, even though it's like a hardcover, new hardcover. I don't know why, but I got it super cheap. Have not read it obviously because I'm still going my way through the City Watch series. But yeah, the cover is fine. I mean, I think the artwork is by Paul Kidby, so there is that. This book, which is one of my favorite Discworld novels, Going Postal. This is a new hardcover, which new like designed hardcovers which I got as a birthday gift to myself. It's like, even though it's a hardcover, it's really light and I love the font, and it's like it's a treat to myself because Discworld books I feel like are best consumed second hand and like cheap breaking copies, but this book, since it was my favorite, I wanted in hardcover. This then, Fifth Elephant. This art is fine, I guess. I really like the elephant coming and crashing down. That's really fun. Jingo, hate this fucking cover. This book in general, there are parts of it that piss me off severely, even though I read it like second time over, knowing the humor type in Discworld, but this book just doesn't fully do it for me. It pisses me off at points. But this cover, hate it. Then the second, I think in the Moisture on Lipwick series, yes, his name is Moist. I'm not gonna explain it. Making Money. It was fine, not better compared to the first one. The first one was amazing, Going Postal. But yeah. Then we have like the original covers, which are all like these small ones, which like, can you see this art? I think again it's art by Paul. No, this is by Josh Kirby. I'm sorry. This is the original one, which is by Josh Kirby. Small Gods, it's fine. I really like the art for this one. It was good. Then Soul Music, also love the art for this one. It's fucking Death on a Bike. Come on, man. That's amazing. The Death series in general are really, really good. I'm on Hogfather right now because it's Christmas, so obviously I have to read Hogfather. Carpe Juggulum, which is part of the Witch series. This is, you know what? Pretty good art. I really like the art. It's like surprisingly well clear considered other novels where it's like busted beyond belief. And it's really funny how it's like busted beyond belief. Feet of Clay. I don't like the way Angua is, designed, like her armor and stuff. But I do like this like old kind of I really do like these like old illustrations. Like they are extremely detailed and extremely like they say fantasy in a way that like other books may not. Light Fantastic, pretty good design. I did not read it, I think, or maybe I read it in like a library book, but I did not like it. So there's that. Good Omens is here, not because of Neil Gaiman, boo Neil Gaiman, but because of Terry Pratchett. Fucking hate this cover. I don't want to see these. I don't want the book to be a cover of the show. Can you let the book, my original copy, which my sister has back home, it's like white with Crowley on it in like a lithographic print of Crowley in black on a white background. I want that book back. But I got this for cheap, so I got it because I wanted to reread it. And it has a stupid Amazon cover. I don't want it, man. Come on. Then, We Free Men. Pretty good cover. Pretty nice. Then the same as like A Hatful of Sky. These two, for some reason, I have like wide books. And then the next two are like small ones. Which is Winter Smith, which is small. And I like the cover actually. It's fine. Not too much. Next on the list is I Shall Wear Midnight. There it is. Now we're coming up to like a very strange cover design series. I don't know why. Guards. One of the best City Watch books I've read till now. Josh Kirby style. I'm not a huge fan of the illustrations. The truth, which the illustration is like, this is like an extremely old copy of the truth, and I'm not even gonna open it because pages are gonna fall out. This is a book where I'm like, all well and good on buying like a second hand, but this genuinely might disintegrate one of these days, so I might have to get a new one. But I love the truth. This is such a good look into Ankh-Morpork from not the usual perspective of, Vimes, or even Moist One Lip gets like a third perspective of, but settled in Ankh-Morpork. It's really, really cool. Then this one, third, I for some reason I fucking hate this cover. It doesn't go with any of the other covers, and it's like, so like, I'm so unique. You don't look good at all. Shut up. I hate this one. I have mixed feelings about Monstrous Regiment. I mean, the cover is funny and everything, but like, why is it yellow and blue? And also, I don't like I just don't like it. Why is it yellow and blue? I'm not gonna. I'm gonna get mad. Then of course Hogfather, which I have to read for this month. But what I'm actually reading this month is Night Watch, and I know for a fact it'll make me cry. I love the cover of Night Watch, by the way. I love this. It's probably like it's referencing some painting, I'm pretty sure. I think so. But that's what I'm reading right now. But I will read Hogfather as well. Pretty good cover. There are some books that have like this cover of like side, kind of like, I think they're meant to be a box set or whatever. And that's the same with like Interesting Times. I wanted to read this because it's supposed to be the better Rincewind book, but it's like him going to the Discworld equivalent of China. And as much as I love Terry Pratchett, I don't think he handled Chinese politics really well. So I'm not that stoked to read it, so I will read it some other time. That's all there is for the Discworld. I think we are mostly done. I mean, down here we have like my hard covers. So it's like my copy of the Books of Earthsea, gorgeous, yummy copy, and stuff like that. And there is like Lovecraft and like art books, the artwork of Spider-Man, and then this last copy there's like school stuff and like D&D stuff. But yeah, I'm not pulling all that shit out because those are heavy books and my back hurts. So I think, I'll put these books back obviously, but I don't want to do it right now in front of the camera. I think that's it. Thank you for watching me clean my entire bookcase. I have to now like clean the rest of my shelf and maybe take a bath because my hair is way too greasy. Yes, it is 7 p.m. I'm gonna take a bath because my hair is greasy and it's pissing me off. So yes, okay, bye.